Smart 24, driving business.
Good morning and welcome to STARTIMES Business this morning. It's the 7th of July. It's a Friday and definitely wrapping up the week. How are you doing this morning? Hope you're really doing great. I officially welcome you to STARTIMES Business this Friday morning. Definitely another business day. We need to get out there, hustle, work, make the money. Definitely. Remember, this is about generational impact. It's not just about ourselves. Everything that we do is always we have a vision towards that. It's not about us. It's about the people that are to come after us. And that's why we got to wake up every morning. Look for this money, definitely. But of course, it's also important. It matters the channels through which you can obtain this money. As much as we emphasize the aspect of hustle, rather, it's also important that you really look into those are the factors. How do you get that money? It's very key. Quite a lots of events have happened definitely during the previous days, and of course the aspect that is quite very unforgettable. Of course, it was quite sad yesterday night, actually very late in the night, when we lost a mighty billionaire in there. That is Aponye, in a very harsh accident. He was actually heading to his home area in Ruchiga district to attend a burial ceremony. Can you imagine? He was going to attend a burial ceremony and he died at the end. Of course, he got so famous during the COVID-19 pandemic, if you remember, where he supplied government with partial beans, and this was food that was distributed to the different individuals that weren't in position to actually access food during the COVID-19 pandemic. So it was such a remarkable when it comes to those aspects. Well, it's quite a sad one, but definitely we shall be bringing you further reports as investigations are done. What could be the cause? How did the accident happen? Well, we shall be finding out more of those aspects. But anyway, before we proceed into any discussions this morning, don't forget the markets on the Zabo platform, which will be opening anytime from now. Now, for you to be a part of this, it's quite very simple. Start 292 hash is the USSD code for you, which will avail you with options where you'll be able to buy bonds, government bonds and securities for just 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Now, the markets will be opening at 8:15 a.m. Up to 3:15 p.m. East African time, and this is effective Monday up to Friday, except from the weekends and the public holidays when these markets can't be accessed. But of course, despite the fact you have the rest of the days to capitalize and make yourself quite some huge profits, something which I believe is very key and influential for your financial growth and development, most especially you as a trader. You never know what you're going to incur throughout the week, but if you have the Zabo as an option, well, it would be something very interesting for you. Now, Zabo simply says, my money, my future, and Altex East Africa tells you do something new for yourself. Well, now heading straight into our morning call, of course, reviewing the investment code, but within this very code, there is the aspect of bridging, that is the inequality gap amongst employees, something which we believe is quite very key. Well, let's get into this discussion.
The inequality is that given the fact that we receiving is the labor. We don't have a threshold or how much they can be paid. We don't have actually a gross to say that if you're being employed, you can get beneficial or privileges to this employment. And of course, casualization of labor has grown, and most people are being taken on by a number of companies that do not, one, put a cap to how much they can get. Even when it is paid low, that person is not able to gain from having a dignity to work, really, the basic standards of living, really, for them to enhance their livelihood, engage, to see to it that they can even give into contributing to the growth of the country, because they earn so little. They are unable to take care of themselves also financially. They depend on what they get. If they do not get anything, they cannot survive. So we need to see to it that the inequality gap is that it should be brought closer. There shouldn't be a big gap. People should be able to gain from where they work, having access to a number of these healthcare, access to in case of emergency, when they get issues, challenges even with employment, whether it is a contract issue. Some of them have gone into even writing contracts, handwritten. Some do not have contracts. Some it is word by mouth, Social security is not being remitted. People are failing to actually address their ways of conducting business in a human rights perspective. They are failing to accept that labor is important. Having proper, policies that shape our labor laws, enforcing that they are also binding to investors that do come in to have their companies on ground. They should see to it that they're able to employ people to be able to even have a good way of enhancing their livelihood, not being challenged by even failing to cope or to even take care of themselves. The investment code is one of the policies and laws that ideally should be binding, given the fact that it is looking at investors, foreign and local. But we need to emphasize that while investment in Uganda has been really skewed to foreign direct investment, government is instead encouraging foreigners as investors, leaving the local companies, local investors to thrive on their own, but also not realizing that while we do this, investors have also come on ground and set their own ways of working. They have gone ahead to hire people without contracts. Some have even faced challenges or even been summoned to court because of the challenges of the work conditions, how they are placing so many of these people at risk, whether without protection gear, whether when it comes to them getting challenges at work, accidents, they are not fairly compensated. So the investment code ideally should be able to shape the way investors do business. There is a need to ensure that it has a human rights obligation and perspective, as well as a labor rights perspective. They need to bring both of those two together. And you find that our investment code has given so much preference to the foreign investors. But if properly utilized or used, there is a need to see that it is binding to protect our workers and not see to it that they are actually gaining, they are able to gain from investors coming on ground, but even the communities, that they are not violated in terms of how the investor, also what the investor is coming to do. It should be going back to the community, improving their livelihoods, having a fair dignity to work, and ensuring that all of them are also seen to grow at the same rate, even the local investors. So there is need that this law can be able to take shape. It can be able to also give compliance to foreign investors to make sure that they are able to comply to these laws and have it binding.
That's reviewing the investment coding there and looking into the aspect of bridging the gaps when it comes to inequalities to do with the employees. Well, yeah, something out there for you as an entrepreneur to check out and really understand. Well, right about now, let's cross over and take a look at what's making headlines into the press. I got the new vision and the Daily Monitor with me here, and I shall be, of course, reviewing them concurrently. Now, for the Daily Monitor, of course, the top page: billionaire Aponya dies in a motor crash. Yeah, of course, the nation receives with shock news of the death of one of the country's most prominent businessman in a road accident that is on the Mbara-Ntungamo Highway after the vehicle was traveling in rammed into a truck. Regarding that, I don't know how they framed this English really. And anyway, now here still on the top of the new vision about the parish development model as government sets rules for child education. Something very amazing here. And also looking at the by-election here, UPC's Apio wins Oyam North County seat. Congratulations to her, by the way, on that. It's not been quite an easy journey there. And then on the education sector, we see that the students' loan scheme suspended. And now the government will not finance the students' loan scheme this financial year, as members of parliament actually demand that the program must be improved at the same time. Well, I mean, it's better you don't do something than doing it when it's it's a little bit not steady, you know, shaky and all that. It's got to be made perfect. So the members of parliament say this should be put off. All right, now as I still proceed here in the Daily Monitor, well, of course, they show you how Aponya perished in Tungama Road crash. You know, the car track. When you get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor, you'll find out those details if you're interested to really find out and get to see how the fallen billionaire went. Like I told you, he became so famous during the COVID-19 pandemic to distribute. You know, he had quite a couple of buildings in there. The apartments, supermarkets, you know, and all that. Just left just like that in such, you know, he actually died in his 60s. He was in his 60s actually. Yeah, he was in his 60s at the time he passed on. But of course, may his soul rest in a town of peace. That's life. I mean, that's life. Well, as we proceed in here, of course, matters to do with the DNA. Affected men, of course, here narrate ordeals. You find out all these ordeals when you get yourself the copy of the Daily Monitor and find out. Then police caution taxi bus operators on security. Of course, this is accompanied with the terror attacks, which were announced by the British government. In regards to which are yet to happen to the country, that is if we don't really take in. So security is really urging the different stakeholders, you know, to be keen on security. And actually they've been doing this in Chikuwo. When you go to Chikuwo, you know, that whole area at night, or is do surveys going in through there. And yeah, security, something very key. Now, of course, taking a look at loan scheme, as 1,500 students 1,580 students are stuck on that. And yeah, now the government will not extend study loans to 1,500 students, needy students for the academic year 2023. That is 2024, due to budget shortfalls. So you can find out more of that. And of course, we see still here government buying land for Gomba residents. Yeah, further details you will get them after that when you get yourself this copy of that new vision. Now, this is something here in the national news section, as Uganda, South Africa partner on e-government services. Now, Uganda and South Africa have announced a significant collaborative effort aimed at bolstering their partnership. Of course, that is in the realm of e-government services. Now, according to the look of things here, I can see Uganda's High Commissioner to South Africa, that is Paul Omaru, meeting with other delegates in Pretoria. E-government services, it's more of internet, definitely the usage of internet when it comes to execution of government-related projects, and this is key when it comes to you know, efficiency and being fast. The team that went to Pretoria, actually, we see the team comprised of the Director of E-Government Services, the National Information Technology, that is NITA. There is Mr. Colin Mugasha, Vice President of Africa Operations, NEC. Wow, very interesting. And anyway, let us see how this is going to be quite very effective, because we know the tradition of majority of the government-related officers are too much into that Asian kind of aspect of keeping records. Sometimes which is a little bit bureaucratic when it comes to execution. Yesterday we are looking at aspects of titles delaying, it's like when you go to the Ministry of Lands and there are quite lots of files piled up, and sometimes it's the storage aspect is always questioned. How secure are they? How do you know that they are safe? And looking at all those aspects, and that shows you that there is need for internet related services. I mean, the government system should go electronic. Of course, the Ministry of ICT, I think, is one of the few ministries that have kind of embraced the e-government services, and I think Ministry of Public Service also is also doing that. But anyway, they're still in there, as other ministries should also adapt to that. All right, now getting back to the new vision here, we see that Boikwe fishing community tipped on income generation. Of course, that also Wednesday kicked off a strategic campaign that is to enhance the livelihoods of the fishing community in Boikwe district through alternative income generating activities. You will find out that too. And well, as we proceed here, government sets rules for child education. This is matters to do with the parish development model, and you'll get, when you get yourself a copy of that, you will be in position to find out more. Now, I see here Mr. Mujimba saying that families that will benefit from the parish development model should be compelled to support children. That is in a basic education, which is composed of primary and lower education. Sorry, primary and lower secondary. Yeah, primary and lower secondary. Now, still, the new vision goes in to elaborate further about the businessman Aponye dying in a car accident, and we see a picture of Laponye Hotel Apartments here. Of course, that is at Baton Street in Kampala, which was part of his property that he left before he died. Now, we still see a government urged to improve the students' loan scheme. The students' loan scheme in there, it should be improved. That's why it's been kind of put off for now. Yeah, there has to be something really perfect, not just doing something round shackled. Now, I can still see here in the new vision, special police constables cry foul over job cuts and missing out on pay. Wow. You'll find out more of those details there. And of course, taking a look at Kiswahili, Uganda tipped on breaking the barriers. Yeah, of course, the Swahili, sort of a conference which happened. It was yesterday at Hotel Africana, where lots of discussions were put in there, and quite some of the big topics in here are to do with regional integration, Swahili and regional integration, most especially business. And this time around, since we're talking about the East African community, I mean, we need to have a language that unifies us, because the aspects that determine the strength of any region, there is the language aspect and the currency aspect comes in. But when you speak one language, it's even easy for your currency to blossom and grow quite very big. Now, government to open up a marijuana growing for all. That is Otafire saying that. Kahindo Otafire actually made a statement. It's like, put aside, stop discussing issues that don't really concern the country. Legalize this and mint the billions out of it. Marijuana. There are some states already, actually, in the United States, which made this illegal. They legalized marijuana. So I don't know. The only challenge is misuse once it's legalized. Majority of the people, some of our brothers can't control themselves. They will just find themselves using it for other related purposes. But anyway, you'll find out more of the details of that. But this is quite a big business, by the way. If you know the medical marijuana industry, in about 20 to 30 years from now, it's going to be one of the multi-billion making industries. So the earlier we position ourselves as a country, and we have quite good land, we can plant this marijuana in there once restrictions are put. But that medical marijuana, big business in there to come. All right, now Kadaga blasts members of parliament over tax on diapers. according to what I'm seeing here. The first Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for East Africa Affairs, Rebecca Kadaga, has criticized Parliament, especially women MPs, for imposing that is the 18% taxation on their purse. Well, you'll find out more of that. Then, of course, UPC's appeal wins Oyam North by-election. Of course, you'll find out further details on the story. I can see it's on page 7 here on the New Vision about the victory of that lady winning those elections. So you'll find out that she's from UPC. And then Bank of Uganda intervention improves rural health services. And of course, a premature newborn in an incubator delicately throws its legs around and puts fingers in the mouth. This is Bank of Uganda intervention, and that is something which is okay. Now, members of parliament want police prisons HIV/AIDS budget to be increased. Police prisons and HIV budget to be increased. The members of parliament, so you'll find out what exactly that entails. And the ministry decrees 20 million Ugandan shillings allocation for child protection. Ministry, that is the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, has decreed that amount of money. 20 million Ugandan shillings for child protection. You get there, you find out that further as you grab yourself that copy. Okay, now I'll put New Vision on hold, and now I get back to the Daily Monitor. I have to continue here, and we take a look at what is really happening. Now, there is a question in here that says that businesses can't go wrong. It's actually an opinion. I can see this is Rajesh Kumar saying businesses can't go wrong with renewable energy. According to that, well, how effective is that? Get yourself that copy, and you will be in position to find out what really that entails. Now, as we cross over to the traffic, the images coming in there, that must be around Vokoto, if I'm not mistaken. Image is not quite clear though. I have a few technicalities in there. The same issue, okay. But anyway, of course, sometimes the weather is also a little bit tricky when it comes to bringing out those facts. But anyway, as we proceed with our press review, as we wait for that to stabilize a bit, we're looking at, we're here taking a look at research assistants cautioned against leaking court judgments. That is here in the New Vision. You'll find out more of that. Get yourself that copy as we proceed. Now here I can see in the comment section, no place for impunity in Uganda, and of course how President Museveni differs from his predecessors. If you're really interested in all those opinions, go get yourself this copy, and you'll be efficiently find out that information like the way it is portrayed out there. Well, that is it for our press this morning. It's exactly 24 minutes past 7. But definitely before I cross over to the break, don't forget the markets on the Zaba platform, which will be opening anytime from now. Now, for you to be a part of this, it's quite very simple. Dial *292#, which is the USSD code, which will avail you with those options where you will be in position to buy government bonds and securities for just 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Now, the markets will be opening at 8:15, running up to 3:15 p.m. effective Monday up to Friday, except on the weekends and the public holidays. But of course, despite the fact you have all these other days to capitalize and make yourself some money. Now, Zaba says, my money, my future, and also East Africa says, do something new. And now let's get into the break. When I return, we shall be taking a look at what's happening on the East African community and, of course, the international scene.